शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभांगम् लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिभिर्ध्यानगम्यम् वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम्। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
So welcome you all once again for this concluding session on the course life lessons from Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 18, entitled Perfection of Renunciation, part 2. So we'll begin with the invocation. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamadam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Dharita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Shruti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarvyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter is the conclusion of the Jnana Yoga section, that is how to come to devotion through knowledge. The first 6 chapters talk about attaining devotion through work, and this last 6 chapters on attaining devotion through knowledge. Because knowledge can sometimes be misleading, so unless that knowledge is done in surrender to Krishna, dedicate that knowledge to Krishna, so we can attain the highest perfection. Perfection means to know what to do, what not to do, and sometimes you have to do things which you should not do or should do. This also will be clarified. Sometimes, even if you say what to do and what not to do, there will be some situations where you have to reverse it. That also one should be very expert in doing that. So just a quick recap of this 18th chapter. How Krishna talks about the freedom from bondage through karma yoga. That is, when we have to do activities, but when the activities are dedicated for supreme purpose, then those same activities which are binding can liberate us. And Arjuna begins this chapter by inquiring about the renounced order of life, sannyasa, and the purpose of tyaga or renunciation. Now then Krishna defines sannyasa and tyaga as the general opinion, and then he gives his conclusion. So this renunciation means rejecting something and accepting something. So that can be done in the 3 modes, sattva, raja and tamoguna. And then Krishna talks about what would happen if someone doesn't renounce. If he says, no, I hold on to whatever I believe and I will not accept something new, then what will be the result of that? Then Krishna goes on to talk about the 5 factors of action without which no action can be successful, or the cause for failure also is discussed according to these chapters. First is the body is the cause for the action, then the living entity, the different senses we have according to that body, and the different types of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul sanction. Now, one who knows that these 5 factors are the cause for action and that he is not the only doer, he is the rightly situated. Now, next important is Krishna talks about how the modes of material nature will control all the activities of all beings, whether it be Brahma or the smallest ant, and therefore only through initially following the Varnashrama Dharma and eventually coming to Bhakti, one can overcome the influence of the three modes. So before telling about the three modes influence, Krishna talks about the three motivations for action, that is knowledge, object of knowledge and knower, the three constituents of action, that is the work, the senses and the doer. And then he talks about how knowledge can be influenced, knowledge, then work, then worker, intelligence, and the determination can be happiness and determination can all be influenced by the three modes, and therefore it is important to gradually elevate through the modes. And for that, the Varnashrama Dharma, Varna means the four social orders, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, which means actually based on the gunas. The Brahmana is in Sattva, the Kshatriya is in Rajoguna, then the Vaishya is in Raja and Tamoguna, and Shudra and Tamoguna. And accordingly, they are inclined to certain activities. And then Krishna talks about whatever be the case, one should adhere to his prescribed duty. What is a sin for someone may be piety for another, depending on which ashrama or varna he is assigned to. So, but more important is one should engage in devotional service, and that is secondary. This varnashrama is secondary. The primary purpose of varnashrama is to engage in devotional service. So then Krishna talks about what is the perfection of sannyasa, when can we know what we are doing is right and what is wrong. So when we learn this art, then we come to the stage of Brahman realization, or realizing that we are pure spirit soul beyond the three modes. Then that becomes a favorable position for engaging in devotional service. It is not a complete platform, but at least we realize that we have a connection with the Supreme Lord and we have to engage in devotional service by which we can attain his eternal abode. Now then Krishna talks about pure devotion, how to work in Krishna consciousness and what we should not do to promote our Krishna consciousness. Initially Krishna talks about surrendering to the super soul. This is said to be first confidential knowledge is to realize that I am the soul, Brahman, and not the body, material nature. The next more confidential knowledge is to realize the presence of the super soul and take direction from him while we are in this material world. And ultimately, we have to surrender to Krishna, who is in the spiritual abode, Bhagavan feature, and that is said to be the most confidential knowledge. Because even though we know what is right and wrong, and even though the super soul is there to guide us, still we may commit mistakes. So therefore, Krishna tells that as long as the material world, every action is covered with some fault, cannot eliminate sin completely. Therefore, Krishna says, you surrender to me. And the conclusion of Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna talks about the glories and of studying and teaching this Gita, and whatever the realizations of Arjuna and Sanjaya. So with this introduction, we will go to this main section. So the last session, we covered about the influence of the three modes in the worker, the intelligence, and ultimately we talked about happiness in the three modes, and then it was determination and happiness. So the summary was that every living entity is influenced by these three modes, and therefore we have to follow the prescribed duties. Just like we are going to the hospital or the doctor because we are in a diseased condition. So having a material body is actually one kind of a disease for the soul. So gradually only he can come out of this disease. And just like a doctor gives a prescription, that prescription is valid till the sick person recovers his normal health. Similarly, this Varnashrama Dharma is prescribed for the conditioned soul. So we should normally Varnashrama means people think it's a discrimination, that whether Grihastha is better, or Sannyasi is better, Brahmachari is better, or whether Brahmana is superior, Shudra is inferior. So this kind of debate goes on, and therefore people think we have to reject this Varnashrama. No, the purpose of Varnashrama is just to enable us to perform devotion. It is secondary, and it's only applicable to the body and the mind we are currently situated. It is a temporary condition. More important is our permanent Swadharma, which is to engage in devotional service. So next, Krishna talks about the four social orders. Actually, it refers to ashrama. Ashrama means the social orders, and varnas means the Brahmana, spiritual orders, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So, yeah, social orders means the Varnas, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and the spiritual orders means Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So, these are they are distinguished by the activities and qualities born of their own natures. So we should not attribute this to the person because the person is a soul. So we are actually attributing this to the body and mind, which is material. Just like if I am owning a car, I am not the car, but my car has some properties and abilities. Similarly, because I have a body that is governed by these three modes, therefore the body can function as per this varna and asrama. Now, what are the qualities of a Brahmana? Sama, Dhamma, Tapa, Shaucham. Shamatha means peacefulness, Dhamma means self-control, Tapa means austerity, Shaucham means external and internal cleanliness. External cleanliness, we take bath regularly, and internal cleanliness comes through chanting regularly the mantras. Shanti means tolerance, Arjavam means honesty or simplicity, and Jnanam means knowledge, Vijnanam means realized knowledge by practical application. Astikyam means religiousness, daily rituals. You have to perform some daily rituals. And then Brahma Karma Subhavajam, natural qualities by which the Brahmanas. These are naturally, it is not forced upon them. It should be, of course, you need some practice and training. Then it becomes natural. Sometimes, even if you give some training, a person doesn't perfect it, which means it is not his natural quality. Then Krishna talks about the Kshatriya's qualities, and first of all, that is Shauryam means heroism. Teja means power. Dhriti means determination. Dakya means expert or resourceful. He can somehow mobilize things easily. Yuddhe means Yuddhe chapya apalayanam. Courage in battle. That is, he doesn't leave the battle. A Kshatriya is not supposed to return home from the battle. Either he should win or die. Then Dhana means generosity. After winning all this kingdom, he has to give that kingdom to responsible people. And he should give the charity to the Brahmanas. And Ishvara Bhava means leadership, controlling others. Unless he controls, he cannot institute Dharma. And Chhatra Karma Swabhava are the natural qualities of birth for Kshatriya. These are again come natural abilities. We cannot, of course, we need to train someone to be a Kshatriya, but unless someone has this ability, there's no point in training him. That's why sometimes people were in the Vietnam War, the Americans were forcibly put into the army by some draft, but many were not successful because although they were given the training, they didn't have the natural ability. Then what about the Vaishyas and Shudras? Krishi, Gorakya, Vanijam. Krishi means agriculture, farming. Gorakya means cow protection because the cow is the residence of all the demigods, and by the cow can produce so many products which have abundant value. Vanijya means trade or business. These are Vaishya karma, so natural duties for the Vaishyas. And Paricharyatmakam karma. So the Shudras are concerned, they have only one occupation, that is Paricharya, serving others. That's why we say, when you fill up the occupation, what is your occupation? Or we say service. But actually, majority of the people in Kali Yuga are only doing service. They don't do anything on their own. Someone is providing a job and they are blindly doing that for a salary. So, Shudrasya api Subhava. What is the Shudra means? He is lamenting always. He's always hankering and lamenting. Brahmana means he is no lamentation, no hankering. So that's why like children are there, they're always asking for something. So if you have more desires, then you're forced to serve under someone. Then this I already explained how this Brahmanas are in Sattuguna, Kshatriyas are in Rajo and little bit Sattuguna, Vaishyas are Rajo and little bit Tamoguna, and Sudras and Tamoguna and little bit Rajoguna. Now, but still Krishna says one should stick to one's prescribed duty. One man's food is another man's poison. What is permitted for someone may not be permitted for someone else. Just like a dog is there, it doesn't follow the traffic signals, nobody is going to punish it. But if a human being violates the traffic signal, he is punished. Because action is the same, but the prescription is different. So, but everyone can become perfect by performing his prescribed duties and worshipping. These two things one has to do. One has to perform his prescribed duties. Just like you have different syllabuses. For the first standard, there's one syllabus, second, third, up 10th, 11th, 12th, you have different syllabuses. So similarly, there are some prescribed duties. And why are they prescribed? The purpose of that is to make that person perfect. And simultaneously, one has to worship the Supreme Lord. So, and he is all pervading and the source. In other words, this aspect is common to everyone. These particular prescribed duties may vary from one person to another, just as different patients are there, different prescriptions are there, but something is common to all of them, and that is devotion. Yata pravrittir bhutana. Pravritti means meant for progress. This is not to keep people below. People think this national system is to uh, downgrade people or to pull down people. No, it is meant for progress. Pravrittir bhutanam ena suram idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha. So why it is there? Swakarmana. That is by their work. It is to perfect people by assigning some work. Idle mind devil's workshop. So unless you engage people properly according to their abilities and qualities, they will not progress. Siddhim Vindati Manavaha. This is for human beings. It is not for animals or higher planets or the lower planet. It is mainly for the human beings. So one important thing is, because the duties of Kshatriya and others are composed of the lower gunas, one should one perform the duties of Brahmana, Sattuguna? So why I should act like a Shudra or a Vaishya, Kshatriya? Why can't I also become Brahmana? So one may ask that question. So why we should be, supposing everyone says why I should be a soldier, let all of us be commanders. Or let all of us be the minister, why we should be citizen. So like this, why I should be a patient, why can't all of us be doctors? So it doesn't serve any purpose. There should be a head and a tail. We cannot all become leaders. So therefore, there's no necessity for all of them to be in Sattuguna also. It's better to do one's own duty as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, so even imperfectly, than to do another's duties perfectly. Because this purpose of the social order is there so that there's harmony among all living entities. If each one thinks his job is superior and other's job is inferior, or I am doing some inferior job, then there will be chaos in society. So better to do uh, uh, whatever we have been assigned. Duties prescribed according to one's own nature are not affected by sinful reactions. As I said, the soldier is there. He is given weapons to fight and kill, and he is rewarded for killing others, provided he acts according to the order. But if I take the same weapon and shoot my neighbor, then I am punished. So duties prescribed according to one's own nature are not affected by sinful reactions. Triyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmo swanishtita swabhava niyatam karma kurban napnoti kilpisham. So this is a concession offered by the Lord and the scriptures for people to act according to their nature and abilities. Simultaneously, they should be engaged in devotional service. Even earlier, Krishna told, Swadharnam he nidanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. So now, all endeavors are covered by some fault. This is the other thing to be realized, that just as fire is covered by smoke, we are putting the fire to get some heat and light, but in the process we are also producing some smoke. So any action we do, it is covered by some fault. For example, the Brahmanas previously used to engage in animal killing, cow sacrifice and horse sacrifice, but that is for elevating the soul from a animal body to human body. Similarly, Kshatriya sometimes has to be violent, and the Vaishya has to do some hide his profit or not pay the taxes, or he has to tell some lies, or the Shudra may have to serve a bad master. So despite all these flaws, one should continue to carry it as prescribed duty. Why? Because that is born of his own nature, which means even if he tries to avoid it, it is not possible. Supposing you say, no, I'm fed up of this kind of work, I want to quit this work. So many people, we come across people saying that I'm fed up of this job, so let me give it up. But they are not successful also. So out of the frying pan onto fire, that's like that. So just by removing the soap, the fire is useful for removing darkness. So even though there is some perfection, we should work imperfection. From imperfection, perfection will come about. That's the famous saying. So even though we are imperfect in our dharmas and things, slowly we should try to become perfect and eliminate those imperfections. Because the main criteria is that the work itself is elevating us, provided it is prescribed according to the scriptures. Now, Krishna progresses towards confidential knowledge, or how to come to the platform where we realize we are the spirit, soul, and not the body. So how to become, so in this section, Krishna describes the transition from reaction-free work. So that is Nishkama Karma Yoga. That is how through Jnana Yoga. By cultivation of knowledge, even though we are doing work with the three modes, still we become free from the reactions. The same example, the soldier is there, he is killing someone, but he is not getting any reaction because he is working for the government. And we can come to the Brahman platform to pure devotional service. So this is a gradual progression. That is, one comes to the Brahman platform, then he realizes the presence of the super soul and begins to take directions, and ultimately he comes to serving the Supreme Lord directly, and that is the Bhagavan realization. So this is the sequence, gradual progression. Then what is the first type of sannyasi? He gives up the doership mentality. That is, he realizes that that I am not the only doer. There are 5 factors of action, and therefore he is not attached to the results of work. Supposing you are working for a company and the company makes a lot of profit, you are not the only cause for that. Many have worked towards it, and some of the money has to go as taxes also. So you are very clear from the beginning itself that you are going to get only a little share of that. So similarly, the sannyasi understands that I am part of this society. I have a definite role in the society, and accordingly, what is sufficient for me, I will definitely get. When that sannyasi perfects his sadhana over time, then he gives his work completely. Initially, the work itself is meant to be the purification. That is known as yoga rukshu. That is, in the beginning, we have to do some work, which may be imperfect, which may be in the 3 modes also. Just like the child is taught to do some things in a very mechanical way. So in the beginning stage of sannyasa, one has to attain perfection through the work. And in the perfect stage of sannyasa, he has to give up that work itself. Just like sometimes a person becomes retired. Even though he has taken retirement, it doesn't mean he has completely stopped work. He can continue to do work in the form of giving guidance to others. Okay, he has a lot of experience. He need not do the work himself, but he can engage others in doing that work. So this is called a yoga ruda state. That's known as the lazy intelligent. We have the active fool, then we have the lazy fool, then we have active intelligent and lazy intelligent. So these are like the 4 stages. This is second type of sannyasa that Krishna mentions. So but then what is the perfect stage of sannyasa? One whose intelligence is detached from all material objects. He knows that this whatever is there in this world is temporary. I cannot hold on to them indefinitely. Just like you buy some product, it has a utility period, expiry date and the manufacture date. Within that, we have to use it. Similarly, he knows that every object in this world has a particular purpose. That's why he is asakta buddhi sarvatra. It doesn't mean he rejects material objects. He knows when to use what and how. And whose mind is controlled, jitatma. Atma means here mind. Atma can mean the body, or Atma can mean the soul also. His mind is controlled means his mind is following the direction of the intelligence. Who is without material desires. Vigata spriha. What is material desire? Means he is not focusing on the short-term goals. Of course, he has short-term goals, but ultimately they are meant for serving the ultimate goal. By complete renunciation of all activities. Sannyasena, that is, renunciation of all activities doesn't mean rejecting activities. It is to perfect the activities, right? To know that how to do activity and how to offer the results. So he attains the highest perfection of no action and reaction. Naishkarmya siddhim. He is doing activity, but those activities do not bind him at all. So he knows how to attain Brahman. Having attained such perfection by cessation of all work. So in the first stages, he has to do work to attain perfection. Just like we are writing exams. When we are doing a course, we keep on writing exams every semester. But after we get a degree, we don't continue to write exams, but we apply that knowledge in practice, and that is the exam. Nobody is officially conducting an exam for you at that stage. So similarly, the sannyasi, having attained such perfection by cessation of all work, one realizes Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, jnana. So he starts acting on the platform of the soul. Right now, we are not doing anything. Only the material nature is doing the work, and I am thinking I am doing. Just like I'm sitting in the car and car is only moving. I am just mildly operating it. So similarly, the body is material nature is only doing everything, and the soul is idle right now. But when the soul starts engaging in devotion, that is when it is really acting. So then Krishna talks about the process of realizing that how to remain situated on this Brahman platform where we really start acting on the platform of the soul. So what is the process of attaining this stage or Brahma Bhuta stage? We have Bhuta means elements, and Brahma Bhuta means they are beyond the material elements. Buddhaya Vishuddhaya Yukto. Buddha means intelligence. Vishuddhaya means purified. By being purified by sattvic intelligence, which means the intelligence utilized properly. Dhrityatmanam niyamyacha. How is it done? By controlling the Dhriti and Atmana. Dhriti means determination, Atma means mind, Niyamya means controlling. Being purified by sattvic intelligence, controlling the mind with the determination. Shabdadin, Vishayams Tyaktva, giving up all sense objects like sound. Shabda Adin means from beginning with sound. All the material world originates from sound, then comes form, touch, sound, touch, form, and taste and smell. So these are right now we are getting knowledge from these sense objects like this eye, ear, nose, tongue, and skin. But giving up doesn't mean you close your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and avoid touching things. It means we don't give complete, completely depend on them. We depend on the soul and still use the sense objects. Raga dvesho yudasya, being freed from raga means attachment, dvesha means repulsion. What are we attached to? We are attached to what gives pleasure, and we are repulsive towards what gives displeasure. But sometimes the medicine also bitter, but it's good, and something may be tasty but still harmful. So therefore, one should become detached from, free from attachment and repulsion. Vivakta Sevi means living in a secluded place. Does it mean we go leave the society? We not be affected by common people, what common people say. Even the best friend can be there and his advice may not be the best for you. So that is the meaning of living in a secluded place. In other words, you act with some independence. Independent thinking is also required. Lagu Ashi means eating little. Lagu means little. Ashi means desiring. Yata Vak Kaya Manasaha. Controlling. Vak means speech. Kaya means body. Manasaha means mind. Controlling means utilizing the words, body, word, mind properly. Dhyana Yoga Pariya Nityam. Absorption in meditating on the Lord. Dhyana Yoga means meditation. Paro Nityam, on the eternal and the supreme. Vairagyam Samupasrayam, and taking shelter of detachment. Vairagya means utility, how to utilize things, what to accept, what to reject. And Ahankaram Bhalam Darpam, Kamam Krodam Parigraham. Ahankara means false ego, Bhalam means false strength, Darpam means false pride, Kamam lust, Krodam anger, Parigraham means material possessions. So one should become free from such things. Vimuchya Nirmama Shanto. Vimuchya means freed. Nirmama means proprietorship. Mamaha means proprietor. Nirmamaha means false proprietorship. Shanto means peaceful. Peaceful means not disturbed by the agitations of the mind. Is Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpita. Such a person can attain Brahman or self-realization. If you act according to these directions, one can constantly realize that he is the soul and not the body. So he becomes completely free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. Just like you are in the ocean and you are on the boat, while in the ocean, you are not touched by the water. All the boat is touching the water, you are untouched. But still you are using the water to fly across the ocean, using the boat. Similarly, this body is made out of three modes. But if you act according to the scriptures, then the same body which is pulling you down in this world will help you to cross over this material existence if you take direction from the spiritual master and the mercy of the Lord. One becomes fully joyful or peaceful. Why does he become joyful? Because he is reinstated in his original position, and therefore he is peaceful because he can now really act according to his ego, real ego. So he is known as Prashantatma. Right now, he is forced to act according to the three modes, but in the Brahmabhuta stage, he is free to act according to the soul. So in other words, he becomes really a real performer. So what is the real performance? He is able to engage in pure devotion to Lord Krishna. Right now he is doing mixed devotion or no devotion. But when he comes to the Brahmabhuta stage, he is given an opportunity to begin devotion. So what is this Brahmabhuta stage? How does he progress on to the Bhakti stage from the Brahman realized to Bhagavan realization? Just like when you graduate from college, you are very proud that I got a degree. But unless you work for some company, that degree doesn't fetch the real result. Similarly, although you realize you're the Brahman, unless you serve the Parabrahman, you cannot retain that position. Supposing you have a medical degree or engineering degree, but you're not acting as an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, it ultimately has no value. Similarly, although you realize you're the Brahman, but if you're not serving the Parabrahman or Bhagavan, you cannot remain in that position. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. न शोचति न कांक्षति समस्वर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम. Very important verse. Brahmabhuta Prashanatma, one who is thus situated at once realizes Supreme Brahman becomes fully joyful. So as we said, the three qualities of the soul is Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means to realize we are eternal. Chit means that we have knowledge. And Ananda means bliss. So, na shochati na kankshati. What is the symptom of a person who is joyful? He never laments the loss of something or desires anything or hankers for something, because he knows that the soul is complete in all. The soul actually doesn't need anything or lose anything. And samas sarveshu bhuteshi, he is equally disposed to every living entity, because every living entity is also similar to him. He also, no other soul is losing or gaining anything, neither he is gaining or losing anything. So he is happy to associate with other living entities. Madbhaktim labhate param. In that stage, beyond the modes, he attains pure devotional service unto me. In other words, he sees a clear distinction between the living entity, material nature, and the Supreme Lord and their interrelationship. And therefore, he is able to perform pure devotional service. So if you want to do bhakti, we have to come on a platform of, just like if you want to play with the king, then you should be related to the king in some way. Otherwise, the king will not just call someone, just like if the chess championship is there. They don't put directly the chess champion to fight with ordinary chess people. Only someone should have already qualified even to contest with the champion. There's not, I forgot that name. So so similarly, even to engage in devotional service, one should come to the stage of the soul. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yasyasti tattvataha. Why we have to perform bhakti? By bhakti, one can know Krishna and attain his abode. Only when we do bhakti, we can understand Bhagavan. One can understand me as I am. Tattvataha means in completeness, in truth, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. In other words, bhakti is given by God, and if it is utilized to serve God and understand God, then we can get the highest benefit. Tato mam tattvato jnatva. When one thus knows me in truth and is in full conscious of me, vishate tat anantaram. Vishate means he can enter. Where does he enter? Anantaram, the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. It's attaining a kingdom of God means it's a state of consciousness. According to our consciousness, we perceive the world around as material or spiritual. All these different planets are states of consciousness. Even in physics, we have this concept that we are what we see. What we see is what is there in the mind. So just by karma or jnana, one cannot attain knowledge about God. Only when that karma or jnana is supporting bhakti, then it helps to understand Bhagavan. So now Krishna talks about pure bhakti. Pure bhakti means acting only in Krishna consciousness. Whatever action we do, we are fully conscious about God while performing that activity. What activity we are doing, that is secondary. And the primary thing is, are we remembering God at the time of dying or living or taking birth? So what is the Krishna distinguishes between working and not working in Krishna consciousness? Work is essential for everyone the moment he has acquired a body. But the question is, are we working in Krishna consciousness or So we are not in Krishna consciousness. So what is the benefit of activities in bhakti? They lead to Krishna's abode, which means we realize our Satchitananda feature and form. Sarva karmani api sada. Although doing all kinds of activities. In other words, the devotee has to do all kinds of activities. We cannot say that I will do this as a devotee, I will not do this because I am a devotee. Sarva karmani api sada, always. Kurvano mad vyapasrayaha. Why he is boldly doing that activity is because he knows that he is under the protection of the Lord. Because he knows that Krishna will protect him and maintain him. He is confident in doing any type of activity. Mat prasadat avapnoti. Mat prasada means by mercy. So when Krishna sees that such a person is working for him, he becomes pleased with him and he helps him to Shashvatam Padam Abhyayam. He helps him to reach the eternal imperishable abode of mind. Just like when you are applying for a visa to a foreign country, you submit your credentials. You say that when you're filling the visa application form, you fill up all the supporting documents and fill up all the details. Then the other country sees that you are qualified and grants your visa. Similarly, when we are acting according to the direction of Krishna in this material world, he enables us to attain his abode. But it's that abode, eternal and impersonal abode, where we can do everything perfectly. Right now, whatever action we do, even if we are the Brahma, we have to do some fault. That we see Indra also committing serious blunders. And sometimes people blame why this Bhagavatam is talking about big people, big devotees, and they're doing big blunders. So why I should follow this bhakti? But the fact is that even though you're doing everything with some imperfection in this world, because you're doing under the direction of Krishna, some bhakti, Krishna puts you in a position where you will do only bhakti and everything will be perfect. That is possible in the spiritual world. So therefore one should work in Krishna consciousness. Chetasa sarva karmani. Chetasa means with the mind. Sarva karmani. Offer all the activities unto me. Mahi sanyasya matpara. Offer all your activities unto me and just depend on my protection, making me the goal of your life. So how is this possible? Only when we know the instructions of Bhagavad-Gita and take direction from the spiritual master and practically apply it in our life, then only we can offer all our activities to the Lord and depend on his protection and make Krishna the goal of our life. Buddhi Yoga Upasritya. How is it possible? By taking shelter of Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga with fixed intelligence. Upasritya means taking shelter, which means we should be confident that if I do this devotion, my intelligence will be fixed and whatever actions I do will become perfect. Matchitta satanam bhava. Be always conscious. Mat means me. Chitta means conscious. Satadam means always. Bhava means be. Because you are doing the action, supposing someone has told you to do something, whenever you are doing those activities, you'll remember this person. Oh, he told me to do like this. And if I get a doubt, maybe I should call him. So this is how the devotee is acting. So then one may say, what if I don't do all this Krishna consciousness? Majority of the world is not at all bothered about this Bhagavad-Gita or practicing Bhagavad-Gita. Then Krishna tells that also. Matchitta sarva durgani matpa prasada tarishyati. This is the result of working in Krishna consciousness. What is the benefit? Matchitta sarva durgani. If you become consciousness of me, you cross over all the obstacles in life. Sarva durgani. Whatever obstacles are there, they are there for a purpose. And Matchitta, become conscious of me. Mat prasada tarishyasi. So then if the obstacles are there, how are we able to cross it? By my grace. That is the mat prasada tarishyasi. That is they say, mukam karoti vachalam. Mukam karoti means even the dumb can speak eloquently. Pangum langaite girim, which means the lame can cross mountains. Yatripatamaham bhante. That if there is the mercy of the Supreme Lord and his devotee. Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhava. So by the grace of the Guru or Krishna, one can cross over all obstacles in life. Why? Because Krishna becomes the most intimate friend, always look after his friend's comfort. That's why Krishna says, Yoga Khemam Baham. Yoga Khema means I provide what you lack to do devotion and preserve what you have that is required for doing devotion. So you may say, I am a devotee, but I lost some money. I am doing devotion, but I lost my family members, which means that is not required for your devotion. As long as it's required, Krishna will retain it, and if it's not required, Krishna may remove it. So what is required is, what is to be maintained is our devotion under all circumstances. And Krishna gives himself to his friend and removes all his sufferings. Krishna personally removes the suffering. It may take some time and effort, but then what is the result of not following Krishna? Atachetvam ahankaran. Why people are not following Krishna? Ahankaran, out of pride and false ego. What happens to them? Na shrosyasi vinakshasi. Shrosyasi means do not hear me. They ignore the Bhagavad-Gita, they ignore the devotees and this devotion. So what happens? Vinakshati, you will perish. That is guaranteed. You can take the most successful people in the world. You can see gradually over a period of time they perish. They are not at all talked about. Nobody cares for them now. But you see the devotees, millions of years we are talking about them because they have worked for Krishna. So then Krishna says, if you don't work in Krishna consciousness, you will be forced to act according to your nature. You have only two choices in life. Either you work for Krishna or you work according to the three modes. This is happening to every living entity. Out of false identity and illusion, if you think of not fighting, such resolve is only a misdirection. Either he fights for Krishna, remembering Krishna, or he fights according to his three modes of material nature. Then in one, just like a soldier is there, is fighting for the government, another man is fighting as a terrorist. Both terrorist and soldier using weapons. One is working for the government and one working against the government. Voluntarily acting according to law's direction. So therefore, this devotion is something voluntary. You cannot force someone to become a devotee. So if you don't voluntarily take to devotion, then you will be forced to follow the three modes of material nature and the dictations. So now, seeing that Arjuna still seemed to have the false concept of thinking he knew everything, and because so even now, after Krishna gave him so much instructions, still Arjuna is not feeling that he will be able to follow Krishna's direction. Just like after you attend this whole course of Bhagavad-Gita, the majority will think, oh, I don't think it is practical. It's very nice to hear, but I don't think it's practical. So similar was the case with Arjuna. He was also thinking that, yes, Krishna's advice is very good, it's for my benefit, but I don't think I will be able to follow it. So then Krishna tells, okay, what is the solution? Then take direction from the super soul. He is willing to patiently see you, observe you, and direct you, even though you are doing some mistakes. Super soul is the master and director. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddesha arjuna brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in the heart of all living entities for Arjuna. In other words, the Lord is willing to guide every living entity at every stage of his life. Even though he will not surrender to Krishna immediately, Krishna is willing to patiently wait with that soul. He is directing the wandering of all of them who are seated as on a machine under the spell of material energy, like dolls moving by the strings. People are helplessly going according to the three modes. That's what Arjuna saw in the Vishwarupa, the 11th chapter. Everyone was forcibly dying. So that is the condition of all living entities, but Krishna is patiently guiding them as the super soul. So how is he guiding them? Every moment we are forgetting about our past. That's why we are changing the body. When there is no past, present, and future, the body doesn't change. When you are living in the present, and that's why some people are ever young, because they are living in the present. Some people who are always thinking about the past or future, they age faster. So even when we forget, the Lord reminds us what to do. And therefore, Krishna says, surrender into the super soul. If you cannot overcome your shortcomings, tameva sharadam gacha, taking shelter of the super soul, sarvabhavena bharata, with full devotion, all of our heart's emotions. So sometimes we have something in our heart, something is coming up in our mind, or we exchange, we talk to the God sometimes, doing prayer or something, we present to God, we cannot tell to others. So that Krishna is accepting that. Yat tat prasadat param shanti. By his mercy, you will attain transcendence. So you will get some direction from the super soul. Yes, you have some problems. You are presenting it to the super soul because you don't see Bhagavan in front of you. Doesn't matter. Krishna hears. That's why some big scientists, they got intuitively some ideas. They had a dream, and then Ramanujam also used to have so many dreams and used to write all the formulas. So how is this coming? Because of the super soul. Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. You see, child prodigies are there. They are so perfect. How that's Paramatma, when we think that soul is great. Actually, the soul is great because the Paramatma is telling that soul, giving the nod, Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam, and you will attain the supreme eternal abode. So ultimately, why is the super soul there? He is trying to help you come to the perfectional stage, that is Bhagavan realization, where you surrender to fully to Krishna and not try to adjust your life in this material world forever. Now, then ultimately Krishna says, you do as you wish. Thus, I have explained to you this greatly confidential knowledge of scripture, the means of understanding karma, bhakti, and jnana. Deliberate on this fully and then do as you wish. Ite ite jnanamakhyatam guhyataram maya. Guhyad means about the soul. Guhyataram means about the super soul. Vimrishyaitat asheshena yatechasi tatakuru. As you like, you may act. That God does not interfere with our little independence. At no stage, God is forcing us to become a devotee. Why sometimes people blame God. Why is He putting me in so much difficulty? We are ourselves put into difficulty, and He's also telling us how to come out of difficulty. But we are so stubborn. So that's where the problem lies. So at this stage, Arjuna was still not confident because Krishna, sometimes you go to a shop and he says, okay, he tells about all the products and he says, okay, now you choose for yourself. Then we are also, first we go with no choices. Then he gives us many choices. Sometimes you go to the restaurant and you ask the waiter, you tell what are, even after he tells, we are not even decided. So he's also frustrated. I told the entire menu and these people are still not able to make a choice. So something like that is happening here. Krishna has told him everything, but still Arjuna is sitting silent. What he should do? Now Krishna says, my dear friend Arjuna, I will now speak the essence of the whole scripture. Now, Krishna's heart melted. Even after hearing Krishna, Arjuna is still not decisive. So he says, I will now speak the essence of whole scripture in few verses. So this is the crux of the Bhagavad-Gita. Forget about all the difficulties in having to review everything to understand it. Don't matter, you are not able to summarize and assimilate everything. I will give you in a capsulated form what you have to do. Thus, the following verses reveal the essence of Bhagavad Gita to be applied in everyone's life. So, people ask, what is the practical application of Bhagavad Gita? Is it stress management? Is it some techniques, management techniques, or all this and that? No. The following verses reveal the essence of Bhagavad Gita to be applied in everyone's life. So, what are they? Surrendering to Lord Krishna is the most confidential knowledge. Confidential knowledge is knowing that we are the soul and not the body. More confidential knowledge is that even though we are in this material body, in the material world, the Lord is prepared to guide us lifetime after lifetime of the super soul if you look for direction. And ultimate instruction is surrendering unto the personal God Krishna, one God Krishna. That is the most confidential because people cannot accept this. How much ever you say, they say, why should I surrender to Krishna? Why only Bhagavad Gita? Why only I should chant Mahamantra? So Krishna explains why one should do that. Again, here my supreme instruction. Krishna has been given Arjuna higher and higher instructions because he sees that Arjuna is reciprocating with him, responding to his instructions. So Krishna becomes happy to give him higher and higher knowledge. The most confidential knowledge of all, Sarva Guhyatamam. Why is he speaking this? For your benefit, because you are my very dear friend. So Arjuna is related to Krishna lifetime after lifetime. So that's why he's able to respond so fast, having faith in my authority. Sarva Guhyatamam Bhuya, Srinume Paramam Vachaha, Ishtosi me Dridamita, Tato Vakshami Te Hitam. So God is willing to guide us at every step of life, provided we respond to it. So even after hearing Bhagavad Gita, if we don't practice, then we don't get the higher and higher realizations. Now Krishna is repeating that ultimate instruction which he told at the end of the 9th chapter, which is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and that is devotion to Krishna. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Man mana means always think of me. Bhava mad bhakto means become my devotee. Becoming my devotee means follow my instructions, remember me. Madhyaji means worship me. Whatever body, mind, and words you have, you utilize it to serve me. Mam namaskuru. Always remember that I am protecting you and maintaining you and offer your respects to me. Mam evaishyasi satyam te. Thus you will come to me without fail. Krishna is guaranteeing. Pratijane priyosme. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. What is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? Surrender unto Krishna. So how is it possible to remember Krishna, become a devotee of Krishna, worship Krishna, offer respects to Krishna? Sarva dharman parityaja, giving up all varieties of religion. Don't get distracted to what to do and what not to do. Just to do devotion, pure devotion. Mam ekam sharanam braja, just surrender unto me alone, not to anyone else. Aham tvam, why we should surrender to only to Krishna and only do bhakti? Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo, I shall deliver from all sinful reactions. Right now we are only doing sin and suffering the consequence of sin, even though so-called piety is also sin only, because it will keep us bound to this material world. So, moksha ishyami machuchaha. How does he deliver us from all sinful reactions? By engaging us in devotional service. The moment you take to devotional service, there's no sinful reaction. Even if there's some reaction, it will gradually diminish. So then only moksha mashuchaha. Do not worry or fear. Then only we can overcome fear. Because the more we are fearful, we do more mistakes and suffer. So unless we become fearless, we cannot avoid sin. So this is instruction for all living. It is not just for Arjuna. Now we are talking about the Falashruti. What is the benefit of this Bhagavad Gita? What is the result of hearing and giving this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to others? And how this knowledge should be given to others? One is the glory and study of studying and teaching Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita knowledge should be given to those who are atapaskaya, not, it should not be given to those who are not austere and sense control. If someone is not austere and is not sense control, even if you tell him the Bhagavad Gita, it has no value. Abhaktaya, without true devotion, which means he has a tendency to misuse this Bhagavad Gita. There are so many people, they misuse this Bhagavad Gita. So that is not true devotion. So better not to give this knowledge to them. Ashushave, unwilling to hear and not engage in obedient service. Abhyasuyati, envious of me. So the teachings of Gita are not to be given to those who are not austere and sense control, without true devotion, unwilling to hear, not engage in obedient service, are envious of me. In other words, more or less, all of us have these bad qualities. We are not austere, not sense controlled, with no devotion. We are unwilling to be here, engaged in obedient service, are envious of God and the devotees. But still, gradually we should work towards overcoming this problems or difficulties and disqualifications. What is the benefit of teaching Bhagavad Gita? Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshu vidasyati bhaktim mayi param kritva mami vaishyatya samshaya. One who explains the supreme secret of Bhagavad Gita to my devotees. So even to understand Bhagavad Gita, some qualification is required. What is the benefit if you talk to this to them? You will attain pure devotional service unto me, because when you're talking this Bhagavad Gita to others, you remember Krishna, and the people who are hearing also, they remember Krishna. They come back to me without doubt. You will always remember me. Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me prekrittamaha bhavita nacha me tasman anya priyataro bhuvi. He becomes most dear to me. There's no servant in this world more dear to me, nor, and there will be ever one more dear in the future. In other words, Krishna values the devotee who reads and hears and teaches Bhagavad Gita so much. So, what are the benefits of studying Bhagavad Gita? This one who studies Adhyashyati, this sacred conversation, Dharmam, what is this conversation? Is it some politics going on here? Dharmyam Samvadam. There's a discussion of Dharma. What is our true nature? What is it we should be doing? So this is the most important topic to be discussed. We are hearing so many things in the newspapers, internet, and TV, but it's not our Dharma. Our Dharma is to act according to the soul. So that's why this discussion is sacred. Dharmyam Samvadam. So he is worshipping, he is worshipping me by his intelligence or sacrifice of knowledge. That is the right application of his intelligence. What is the benefit? One becomes free from sinful reactions, mukta, just by hearing. We don't have to do much to become free from sin, because the sin is in the mind, consciousness. So that has to be removed by hearing. And one attains the auspicious planets with the pious well. So you will be surrounded by people who are just like you become a doctor, you are surrounded by doctors. You become a lawyer, surrounded by lawyers. Engineer, surrounded by engineers. Similarly, when you hear Bhagavad Gita, you will be surrounded by people who are interested in practicing Bhagavad Gita. Now, what are the realizations of Arjuna? From the that till now we heard what God had to tell about Bhagavad Gita. Now we hear what Arjuna has to say about Bhagavad Gita. So first of all, Krishna asks Arjuna, have you heard this with an attentive mind? Ekagrena chetasa. So this attention is very important. So you may say, I was not so attentive. Doesn't matter. You hear again, hear again, hear again. Then you become attentive. Or your ignorance, ajnana, and bewilderment now dispelled. What is the purpose of attentive hearing? To overcome ignorance and bewilderment. First of all, we don't have any knowledge. So at least you begin to hear, then some knowledge will come. Then still we become bewildered even if we have knowledge. So therefore, that knowledge, bewilderment also will gradually go away when you start applying this knowledge. Now Arjuna says, my illusion is now dispelled. I have regained my memory. What is the memory? He had forgotten about pure devotion and he became so confused. Now he understood that who he is and what he is supposed to do and what is his goal in life. So how this was possible? By your mercy. Why Krishna is merciful? Because he is infallible. Only someone who is beyond mistakes can help us to overcome the mistakes. So I am now free from all doubts and am firm. I am ready to follow your instructions. Although the instructions were already there in the scriptures, Arjuna was not in a position to follow them. Now Arjuna by hearing Krishna Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, he became determined to follow those instructions which are beneficial to him. Now what about the realization of Sanjaya? Sanjaya says it was so wonderful because Sanjaya is hearing, revealing this knowledge to Dhritarashtra. He is not in physically present before Arjuna and Krishna, but he is able to, with the mercy of Vyasadeva, his spiritual master, he was able to narrate this Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra, and he is saying that it is so wonderful, and his hair is standing on end. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna's hair was standing on end because he was fearful of the outcome of the war. But here Sanjay's hair is also standing on end, but this is out of ecstasy. So he acknowledges the mercy of his spiritual master Vedavyasa, and this has been spoken by the master of all mysticism. Krishna mysticism means perfection. He can do everything perfectly, and therefore he is known as Yogeshwarat Krishna. So by repeatedly hearing Bhagavad Gita, we can get more and more pleasure. So around maybe 25, 30 times I had read this. And so while hearing, although he is not physically present, he is able to visualize Krishna's form. As I remember Krishna's wonderful form, I am struck with wonder and I rejoice, Vishyam repeatedly, and you get the same experience in better and better ways. What is the final words of Bhagavad Gita? Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Tatra Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhvanitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna. Where is Krishna? When you discuss about Krishna, he is there. When you worship Krishna, he is there. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics. Wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, where we are willing to follow this, understand and apply this Bhagavad Gita, there will certainly be opulence. All 6 types of opulence are there. Beauty, fame, knowledge, renunciation, strength, and wealth. Prosperity, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is the ultimate thing. Morality is the ultimate benefit of this Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? This is the last session. So you can also, if you don't have any questions, also you can tell what you learned from this course. And in any case, Monday to Friday, we'll be taking the remaining verses of this 18th chapter in detail. If you're interested, you can join us 7 to 8 in English and Hindi. Thank you very much for all of you. Normally, when we begin the course, we have a lot of participants. Gradually, they drop exponentially. So it's our duty to still do it. And we appreciate that you stood with us for all these sessions.
Hare Krishna.
feel free to ask any questions by putting in the chat or unmuting yourself.
Total of 165 people have heard this. 165 new people, apart from what our regular group members are and the 14 members. 165 new people have heard this series from the beginning to now.
Even in case you don't have any questions, you are free to unmute and share your realizations, good or bad.
Comment, suggestion, realization.
So Janakar says that all the sessions were very enlightening and purifying. I think he's one of the youngest members in our group. This is his realization. So
Hello.
there may yes.
Sir, my name is Srikanth.
Yes.
I am a PhD student in IIT Madras.
Which department?
Electrical department.
Okay.
So my experience, first of all, there was a coincidence in this, because I think I have shared you personally this before while I was requesting for the materials. I used to read Bhagavad-Gita before also, but it was a very small book. And after I finished reading it 2-3 times, I thought I needed a better version of Bhagavad-Gita. So I went online and searched for a book, and they recommended this book, Bhagavad-Gita as it is. So
Right.
I bought that, but I chose to buy it in my own language, that is Malayalam.
Yes.
But when I tried to read that book in the first chapter, I couldn't understand anything, because it was entirely different. The starting was entirely different from what I have read through before.
Yes.
Because in the earlier version, there was no mentioning of any of this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or this entire Guru Shishya Parampara. There was no mentioning of that. So I was not aware of that. So, but it was difficult for me to go through this, because I have never heard of any of them before. So I thought maybe for the time being, I will just leave it there. And then after a few weeks, this mail came that there is going to be such and such a course. So I just enrolled. And then it came to me as a surprise, because this is the book that you are teaching. And the first session, I think the first 2 sessions, when I attended it, everything became clear. I was it was very easy for me to follow the book that I bought. And especially the English version, it helped me a lot, because the Sanskrit word, the meanings, etc., are much more better conveyed in this English book. And also I like the some of the things that you always share, some things that are not in the book, but which easily helps us to understand the things much more easily, clearly. So now what I feel is that this was a blessing for me, because otherwise I would never have read the entire book in this way. I wouldn't be able to understand this thing. So and also it was a blessing to spend some quality time with these issues in the pandemic season. So it is always a blessing for me.
Thank you very much for your nice feedback. Actually, this was my experience also 30-40 years back. I bought this book in 1993, but I had no idea what is the book about. I just bought it and kept it because it was just 50 rupees then. But then after I started attending the class, that was also, as you said, by coincidence. I just saw a poster. I went there and someone said, we have a weekly class here in the hostel. You come attend. I just went for the food they were serving there. And so that way I began with absolutely no knowledge about this. But as you said, when we start hearing, then we get the realization. Thank you very much. We hope we have continued interaction with you. Maybe possibly meet you also in person, because next semester we'll do it in the same as a formal course, as an LTAP course. Thank you very much. Anyone else has anything to share?
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Mataji and Prabhuji, thank you so much. So much I've learned from these sessions. मैं कितना आपको thanks बोलूं, I'm speechless, I'm wordless, to be very, very honest. My life has completely transformed. This is a miracle in my life. My stress, my anger, so much things I'm relieved from. My life has completely changed. I'm more happy, contented. I feel that these sessions have, they were actually blessings in disguise. And all the trainers, they teach so meticulously and so beautifully. They explain each and every words, giving so much of lively examples they give, especially Shraddhamai Lalita Devi Mataji and Radha Rasmai Mataji and Prabhuji, you also, and Mamta Mataji and Saurabh Prabhuji. I mean, I just, even if I'm now currently working as I discussed, but even if I'm getting late, मुझे जितना भी time मिलता है, even if it is for half an hour or for 45 minutes, whatever time I get, I do make it a point. This is a part of my routine, Prabhuji and Mataji, and I'm really looking forward for more such sessions, because these sessions have changed me a lot, and I've got into such a beautiful routine, waking up early in the morning and doing the Mangala Aarti and then evening Sandhya Aarti. Everything, it's just falling into place. So, I mean, I don't have words to say कितना thanks बोलूं मैं आपको. मतलब मैं आपको, if you were in front of me, I would, both of you, I mean, I would have touched your feet. Really, thank you so much. God bless you, Prabhuji and Mataji. Thank you. You're so doing such a good work. Really, hats off to you. Hare Krishna.
That as long as one person is coming, I will continue. That has been my motivation, and it has been continuing for so many years. So it is because of people like you who are benefiting that we are able to continue this service. And we hope you'll also, like as you were saying, whoever is giving the sessions on the Monday to Friday, they are also qualified people. They are PhDs working and well settled. They are also sharing their realizations, and that adds to the value. Thank you very much. Maybe one or two more can take, and then.
Hare Krishna. My name is Triveni,
Yeah.
and I'm actually the spouse of an IIT faculty.
Okay.
So that's how I got introduced to this session. Actually, I have two grown-up daughters, so I was entering a different phase in my life, and I saw this email coming. This is last August, the earlier session, saying that this is starting, and I had already gotten the book. I was interested. I just hadn't had the time. So I attended the sessions. Unfortunately, I enjoyed every session, but I could not be regular. So I joined again for this session. And again, I could attend for a few months, and I have certain family commitments. But the reason I've come again, and probably I'll come even once more the next time if you have it, is simply because it's just amazing what it has done to my life. To be honest, I have not read it every day. I do not do Parayan. I am God-fearing. But I'm not a regular temple goer or anything like that. I just, believe in values and morals. And the dedication of every speaker, Guruji and Mataji, of course, both of you are always there. You're consistent. Every speaker and the analogies they give, it's just wonderful. It stays with you. So every session that I've attended, I've learned something, and it reminds me at the right time to apply it wherever it is, whether it's with my children or with my elders, or interactions with my peers. It has helped me so much. And like I said, unfortunately, I've not been regular. But if you're going to have one more session for Bhagavad Gita, I will be there, and I hope you will not mind, because it's something like a Parayan where I think you have to listen to it every day, whether it's the weekly detailed sessions that you have, or the one that you have on Saturdays, which covers the entire chapter. So I really thank you, and I thank you for the dedication. Tirelessly, you've been doing this, and I'm just amazed. I sometimes feel guilty to say I didn't have the time to attend all the sessions, but I think it's wonderful, and I'm very grateful to all of you for that. And I certainly hope we get to meet someday. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Actually, there are some people who have done 150 times. So 1969.
So I don't need to feel bad about that. Okay.
The person has been doing this. Prahlada Swami, his name is. You can do a search, and he has read this 150 times. Which means he's of American. So you can see this is universal knowledge, and
yes.
Whatever little Kinchita Gita, Bhagavad-Gita, Shankaracharya is saying, even little Gita, it can save you from Yamraj. So you stay in the campus or outside?
Yes, I do stay in the campus. I stay in, my husband is a professor in computer science, and we live on campus. And like I said, it's just great. I think this has entered at the right phase in my life, and I'm drawing a lot of lessons. And I also read the Bhajagovindam, what you quoted just now. So it's just falling into place. Sometimes there is a time when things happen for each person, and probably for me, this is the time. So let me see how far I can take it. But I am very thankful that you are all organizing it and doing it for us, despite the numbers, like you see 100, 150 in the beginning, and by the end it's dropped. But still, you've delivered the same quality and whatever you have to do, right? You've done your duty. And so we are thankful for that.
As you read in the preface to Bhagavad Gita, it says, even if one person takes it seriously, that is our success. So going by the feedback we have got from you, we hope that we try to serve you, and we will continue to serve you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As you said, even when Mrs. Malini Shankar is there, she has been attending our course every session. every batch. So,
okay. Yeah. So I'm not the only one. Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, with that feedback, we'll end here, and we'll continue our interaction. We'll keep you informed. So we'll circulate a feedback form and a form to fill up. Those who want a certificate can give a certificate for having attended, whatever be the percentage of classes you attended. We would like to encourage everyone, as long as you feel it was beneficial to you. So we'll send a mail or a WhatsApp message. You can respond to that, and we'll send you the certificates online. And we would definitely like to meet you in person if possible. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya Atitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Yes, Prabhu, let's get you can end this.
Yes, Prabhuji, I am ending the session.